Then out spake brave Horatius, the captain of the gate. To every man upon this earth death cometh soon or late. And how can man die better than facing fearful odds? For the ashes of his fathers and the temples of his gods.
Very slowly, Vetu reached out and took the clothing offered to her. It was nothing remarkable, just a red tube top. "Go on, I'm waiting," said a harsh voice. Kailani Kalili had infiltrated the hideout used by Vetu and her teammates. Nobody knew exactly when she had gotten inside or how she found it, but the insane Partogan was now holding 4 creations at gunpoint. Mocha, Dak, and Kiri were all staring at the plasma pistol in Kailani's hand. No one was certain if Kailani's weapon was functional. It was waterlogged thanks to Ushka's water attack, and the author had never written a scene in which a plasma weapon suffered water damage, so nobody knew what would happen if Kailani pulled the trigger. Her arms shaking, Vetu pulled the tube top over her head and down over her torso. "There you go. You look like less of a slut now," Kailani said, swaying dangerously on her feet. "Seriously, way too. You're living proof of the writer being so pitifully lonely." "My name is pronounced Vetu," Vetu said in a low, threatening voice. "I did what you asked. I put on a top. Now are you going to lower that gun or what?" "Holy fucking Sajuk, I wish I could see your face," Kailani laughed. "You sound so pissed off." Mocha did a double take, looking from Kailani to the ceiling light. The room was fully illuminated. There was no reason for anyone's face to be hidden from view. "Put the gun down, Kalili," Dak said in a slow tone. "It's not us you're angry at." "Well, what do you know? The guy's got it right," Kailani laughed. "I'm not angry at any of you faceless freaks. I'm angry at the guy who took away my happiness, and I don't see him here." "We can bring you to him," Kiri said, hand still raised. "Just put the gun down and let's talk about it." "Yeah, let's talk," Mocha added. Mocha, Kiri, and Dak were trying to distract Kailani, to make her look away from Vetu and create an opening for Vetu to use psionics without being shot. Kailani did not take the bait. Instead, she kept her eyes locked on Vetu's chest, roughly at the point where she was aiming her pistol. "Not until your friend gets here," Kailani hissed. So, the standoff continued. For several tense minutes, Vetu stared into Kailani's eyes, reaching out with telepathic energy. What Vetu found frightened her. Kailani Kalili was insane. At some point during her own story, Kailani had been subjected to a telepathic assault that left her mind permanently damaged. Many psionic techniques were going to be useless against Kailani, as her mind was already broken. "And here they come," Dak breathed out the corner of his mouth. 2 people walked up the porch and opened the front door. "What the hell have you guys been doing?" Akira Robinson's voice echoed out of the entryway and into the rest of the house. "You do know that Ushka's been calling for help for the past half hour, right?" Akira and Tenna walked headlong into the standoff. Kailani turned on the spot, intending to point her weapon at Akira. Vetu, Akira, and Tenna all reacted instinctively, blasting Kailani with psionic attacks. The telekinetic force rushing through the building was so intense that the ceiling cracked, sending dust down to the assembled group below. All of the lights went out, and a moment later, Kailani stepped forward. She was completely unharmed. Vetu gasped in fright as Kailani pressed the barrel of her plasma pistol into Akira's chest. I can see the Archangel patch on your vest, Kailani said. You must be Akira Robinson. Let's take a walk, you and me. Akira and Kailani left the safe house together, the latter pressing her gun into the former's back. The odd couple walked through the run-down neighborhood for about a minute. Where are we going? Akira asked as soon as she was clear of the safe house. You're going to use the return beacon, Kailani said, and you're going to take me to your boss. That's... Akira started to speak, but something odd happened. She wanted to say, that's a terrible idea, but instead Akira actually said, that's a wonderful idea. My master can put your mind right in an instant. She started to reach for the return beacon in her vest pocket. At the same time, a tiny voice spoke in the back of her mind. Why are we doing this? Malum's going to brainwash her. An authoritative voice in Akira's head reminded her that being immersed in Malum's power was a good thing. No, it's not, the tiny voice replied. I'm under mind control right now. The authoritative voice reminded Akira that she was in love with Malum Ralpakin. The tiny voice quickly responded. In the same way I was in love with Rafi Bakir. He took advantage of me while I was drugged. He raped me. I thought I loved him. I defended Rafi. I mourned his death. What makes Malum different from Rafi? It was as though a barrier in Akira's mind was suddenly knocked down. Memories of Rafi Bakir, a man from her backstory, came flooding into the forefront of her mind. Akira remembered everything from those early days. The promise she made to her older sister, her quest to remake history and create the perfect future. Akira had broken free from mind control. The act of regaining control had caused Akira to stop moving. Kailani let out an angry, scoffing sound and tapped the back of Akira's head with her gun. We going to see Ralpakin or what? Kailani said. Yes, Akira replied. Yes, we are. As Akira pulled the trigger on the return beacon, her psionic aura was fully restored. For the first time since her initial encounter with Malum Ralpakin, Akira was fully in control of herself. Malum Ralpakin was hiding in a place where the author would have trouble finding him. He was inside the world of one of Blake Robinson's older books, a comedy called Grand Theft Stellaris. The Great Khan's hideout was in the bow section of an old starship buried underneath a city on an alien planet. The Alari people above knew a space pirate called Vaki Dejir had buried her treasure underneath their city, but only certain aristocrats knew the exact location, and Malum had already brought them onto his side. In fact, one of those aristocrats was at his side right now. Heiress Dakara, mother of protagonist Callie Dakara, entered the harem chamber cautiously, tiptoeing around the many alien women who were busy pampering the Great Khan. Malum sat up in his bed as Heiress approached. You come with news. News of an unexpected visit, Malum said. Yes, master, Heiress replied. Akira Robinson has just come through the broken gate with a stranger. She demands to see you. Very well, Malum said. I am certain it is an unscheduled update on the construction of the Stockholm Gate. This should not take long. Malum entered his throne room, flanked by advisors and concubines. Akira Robinson was already there. Kailani was pointing a plasma pistol at Akira's head, while several courtiers and a few armed guards looked on in alarm. You are simultaneously brave and foolish, Malum said. He stood next to his throne, resting one arm on the decorative headrest. You know I cannot give you what you seek. It would destroy you. Malum could see Kailani's deepest desire. It played on repeat in the forefront of her mind. She wanted to return to the moment where her body and mind were assimilated by the beast, a cosmic nightmare monster that appeared in one of Blake's oldest books. I never felt bliss like that before, Kailani seethed. You took it away from me. I'll take everything from you. Malum's face twitched. At once, Kailani dropped her pistol and fell to her knees. She clutched at her head with both hands and screamed. Using only the faintest trace of his own psionic power, Malum was crushing Kailani's head in a telekinetic vice. You are damaged beyond repair, Malum said. Perhaps you could have been saved, but you have interfered in my work and done irreversible harm. For that, I cannot forgive you. Malum balled up his hand into a fist and bared his teeth. Kailani let out a sickening gurgle and collapsed to the floor. She was dead. Get that out of here, Malum seethed. A group of servants moved forward, but were stopped by Akira's voice. Actually, I wanted to ask you about your work, Ralpakin. A shimmering aura of psionic energy had enveloped Akira. Malum glanced at her and quickly realized she had broken free of his control for the third time. This is not a conversation to have in the presence of those not concerned with it, Malum replied. He stepped away from the throne, starting to gather up his own powers. It was clear that Akira was steeling herself for a fight. Many of the courtiers and concubines were now cautiously making their way to the exits. Fascinating, Malum said. I've never encountered someone who rejected my love so consistently. Things work differently in my world, Akira replied. That includes psionics. Might want to factor that into your whole conquer the multiverse plan, or have you moved on from that? A wave of anger surged through the great Khan. I am not a conqueror. I am a liberator. I am the supreme force of the multiverse. I am creation. I am destruction. And I will destroy you. You're like me, Akira spat. Or rather, you're like how I used to be. Holy Jericho, I tried to do the same thing as you. No wonder Blake wrote me as a villain. I'm just as bad as you. Bright blue soulfire ignited in Akira's hands. She held the supernatural flames aloft, ready to strike out against Malum. Several people around the throne room gasped in fright. When Malum took a step toward Akira, the floor splintered and cracked beneath his feet. Your life is forfeit, Akira Robinson, Malum growled. Sounds better than being in bed with you, Akira said. Malum conjured a psionic lance and hurled it toward Akira. It struck an invisible barrier and flickered out of existence. A moment later, Akira pointed her palm up and vented a cone of soulfire into the ceiling. In seconds, the throne room was enveloped in an inferno. Malum realized that Akira was not trying to kill him. She was attempting to destroy the buried starship and everyone inside. Malum refocused on Akira, gathering up his telepathic energies for another strike. Akira knelt down and slammed one of her hands on the cold metal floor. Cold and harsh psionic energy funneled out of Akira's body, through the floor, and into the corpse of Kailani Kalili. What is this madness? Malum shouted. Akira laughed, then replied in a sing-song tone. Ha! Are you kidding me? Reanimation really isn't a psionic power in your world. Well then, have fun. Akira turned around and started running toward the broken gate. Malum tried to follow, but the zombified corpse of Kailani threw itself into his path. Malum blasted the zombie with soul fire, but the corpse felt no pain. Ignoring the blue flames, the zombie stumbled forward and grabbed onto his arm. "That's enough!" Malum shouted. Using telekinesis, he tore Kailani's body into many small, bloody pieces. At the same time, part of the ceiling collapsed as Akira's soul fire continued tearing through the room. "Robinson!" Malum shouted, running full tilt into the hallway. Malum knew the way to reach the gate chamber. He reached it in seconds, just in time to see Akira disappearing through the ring-shaped gate. Filling his mind with thoughts about Stockholm, Malum tried to follow Akira through the gate. As soon as he reached the perimeter, Malum was racked with overwhelming pain. The left side of his body was covered in soulfire scars, terrible injuries caused by Malum's son, Trig Shepminter, during a battle long past. As Malum attempted to cross the gate, these scars seemed to catch fire once again, burning with such intensity that Malum was blinded by the pain. He collapsed in front of the broken gate and roared, "Robinson!"